Yeah, man. And so yeah, like I was saying, you really don't understand like all the shit that pulls at you and shit, man. At this age, you got so many things coming at you, and you know, depending on what age and era you grew up in, like 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatnot, 60s and 50s and shit like that. People that was at this age, 12 and 13, 14, they got to start worrying about getting drafted, going to fucking work, going to war, going to fight for a war in the army. It wasn't no if I want to go or I'm gonna think about going. No, they come to get your ass at a certain age back then. So they had to think about shit like that. 60s and shit like that. You had to think about uh, the racism. You know what I'm saying? The segregation. All the the black and white turmoil and fucking everything that was going on, back then with the civil rights movement. And then you got the 70s, when people coming back from Vietnam, high sprung off heroin and shit like that. So everybody got to worry about getting sprung on drugs and shit when they was coming back from serving their country. And so kids had to start worrying about dodging drugs and shit outside the school and in different areas and different states. So you got to think about all the pressure and shit, what builds somebody's character. And so when we think about it, we got so many influences outside of our whole person, our own person, that we deal with on a daily basis. We cannot possibly think that, all the things we think every day and what we do every day is just our own thoughts and our own judgments on the regular, because it's not. We highly influenced by a lot of things, man. The TV, the television, tell lies to your vision. The motherfucking, they call it a program because it's programming us. You understand me? Entertainment to entertain, meant to enter and contain your mental entertainment. I mean, people can say conspiracy theories and all that, but when you start to look at shit like that and break it down, you understand, like a lot of this shit been set up to, kind of, control us. And the school system is one of those things that like really didn't teach us too much beneficial. I think the most we got out of school to me that was beneficial for us was math. You know what I mean? The little bit that we got from math, and so, because that's a universal knowledge right there. That's universal language, mathematics. And so that was like the most beneficial thing I think we got out of it. And learning how to speak, I guess, English language, and be able to write and spell and read. Those would be the second and third things I think that we benefit from. Other than that, the social studies and all the other shit they gave us, that fed us, that was false truths or white lies or whitewashed information, really didn't do us no good, because now we got to unlearn all the bullshit that we learned. And so, at age, y'all go 8, we're in middle school. You know what I mean? How I get where it go. And like I said, it's more influence and shit, right? And so, you're getting ready for high school. In middle school, damn. So if you 12 in the 8th grade, 12 in the 7th grade, you 13 in the 8th grade. Where my other notes at? 13 in the 8th grade, 14 9th grade, 15, 10th grade, Something like that. Hold on, let me find my notes. 'Cause I don't know that shit by heart. I got this shit wrote down. And so yeah, man. I mean, my thing is, we start to. This is when we start to really mold our image and our personality. Who we are, and a lot of times, for the most part, for most people, our ego starts to take the driver's seat and control our daily routine, and so it becomes a repetitive routine that we do on a daily basis, and so we really don't have to think about much if we in a certain routine, a regular routine. We can kind of go off autopilot, and that kind of gives our ego, the go-to to kind of steer us where we going. And the ego, from my understanding, is there to protect us. And so, for the most part, if it's saying something that they think is gonna bring any harm to us, it sounds an alarm. And so we become, or we go into a fight or flight mode. And they say if you stay in a fight or flight mode for a long period of time and not come out of that, then that can cause illness. That can cause physical illness. It can also cause you to not be able to think right, to have cloudy judgment, to be have anxiety attacks and high anxiety and insomnia, and it can cause different issues with you by staying in this fight or flight mode, because fight or flight mode is telling you that you are under some type of attack or you are under some type of danger. And so mentally you're not able to relax your mind, to be able to get a peace of mind, to be able to move forward and to think into the presence of where you are. And so for the most time, we are thinking of either past things that happen to us that brings up certain emotions from certain traumas that we had in the past tense, and these memories pop up by being triggered by something that we see, hear, or think of. Or it's the fight or flight when we in the mode of always worrying about what we got to do tomorrow, or what we got to do, or what we got to pay, or what we got to do next. Always, trying to. And I know it sounds funny when they, when you think of it as not planning for the future, but it's like once you they say once you stand in a constant thought of what you're gonna do for the future, it brings you to type of a worry type of state of mind, and so that puts you in a fight or flight type of mode. And so I'm still trying to understand all this stuff too. I'm still learning this shit too. So I mean, it's a lot to take in because being that we been using this third dimensional thinking or frame of thought, that is when you start to think of things, it's on a higher level of consciousness. It's kind of hard to understand in the beginning until you start learning more and more about it. And so anyway, 9th to 10th, and so all through the school years, we have this thing, like I said, we go end up being in cliques and stuff like that, and we run with different people, and we do different things with different people. Here it is. And so 12 years old, you 7th grade, 13 years old, you in the 8th grade. 13 years old, I remember, I think I was on house arrest for a period of time for stealing, getting caught stealing and shit. So yeah, about that time, 12 and 13, I think I was on house arrest. And so I had been to juvenile a few times, like overnight. My mom picked me up and shit the next day or whatever. But I really ever didn't spend days in there. Not at that particular time. It was just pretty much it picked me up and shit, and I go to court. So I ended up being on probation, house arrest. I had to do community service, working in the soup kitchen and shit. Not too far from where I'm at, actually. So 14, you're in the 9th grade. 15, you're in the 10th grade. So 14 and 15, I definitely was getting into a lot of shit. Driving stolen cars. We started I just started gang banging like 12 going into 13. Learning about the gang shit, and started representing the block where I was from, where I'm from. And so a lot of that shit started taking place, breaking in shit, fights, wearing the rags to school and shit like that. And 15 though, I ended up going to Nate Land. Caught breaking in the car and shit. Thought the dude was gonna kill me. Nigga shot in the air, and that motherfucker was loud. I think I was like 14 when that happened. And by the time I ended up going to court, and them sentenced me and shit, I was going on 15. They sent me to Nate Land. I had to do 45 days in Nate Land and shit. And, get weekend passes. But down at by Crown Center. Anyway, 15 and 16. I said, I was already gang banging and shit. Started like 12 to 13. So 14, 15, I was banging, I was wearing rags to school and shit. In high school. Skipping school though, cause I was selling dope and shit. Well actually, first time I started selling, I was actually selling weed and shit like that, and I was getting from fishing. But at 15, after I got out of Nate Land and shit, that's when I was turned on to the dope game and shit. Actually, start sitting in the house making money and shit, serving. Got introduced to that shit too, that formaldehyde, that butt naked shit, man. Used to hit it was tough in the city back in the 90s. We all know what it is. Everybody was on that shit, well not everybody, but majority, a good percentage of the city was on that water. But that's when I got introduced to that shit. I was 15. So I was doing fuck school parties and shit like that. At 15, skipping school, 16. 17, man, I ended up going to the county and shit. Got booked up on a murder charge and shit. Eventually they had to drop. But 17, yeah, I was in jail, man. 17, I didn't get to go to school, back to school. In jail for a murder charge and shit, man, trying to get my ass back out and, you know, do what teenagers do. So 18, I was in county. I got out when I was about to turn 19. But in those years though, for other people who didn't go through that, for a regular class, they graduating at 17 and 18 years old. So they thinking about college and shit like that, right? But what are you learning in high school? I remember learning, you know, they brought in the computers. This is before I started big school and shit. I was like skipping school most of the time, but I remember them bringing in the computers. We started learning about computers. This is in 90. Learning about the computers and shit. You had, like I said, advanced math classes. Sports. Maybe science was more advanced.